Welcome to the first episode of Motherhood Uncensored, Rebuilding Amanda. So I'm Amanda Casillo. I am a prenatal and postpartum coaching specialist with the Mindset of Matter programs. What I want to talk to you about in this episode is what I've actually been doing in my prenatal and pregnancy phase. That way you can see how I've gotten to this postpartum phase. I'm due in approximately 6 days from now, so we'll see when this video comes out. I may already have a baby and I may be sharing some of my journey. So for prior to pregnancy, what I made sure I did was I wasn't eating in a deficit. I was eating at maintenance in a slight surplus, meaning my calories were above a level where I was not losing weight or gaining weight. We actually want to be at a nice moderate level and not focus on weight loss. Our body needs those calories to build that egg and have that sperm and build that baby, and it's a really glorious thing. So nutrition wise, mostly whole foods, protein as much as I can. With pregnancy or going into the fertility period, we mostly want a high fat, high protein diet, and the rest we can manipulate with carbs. You don't have to track calories to do this. You can do it solely focusing on what's on my plate. So then training wise, I was not trying to build lean muscle. I was not trying to get sculpted or anything. I was honestly just focusing on consistency and enjoying my programming. So I wasn't making gains. I wasn't, necessarily hitting PRs, but really it was about consistency and going to the gym, because if I can keep that consistency in my fertility and prenatal period, it's going to carry over into my postpartum period because I already have that structure. I already identify as someone who goes to the gym or has a home gym and works out here. So when I can create that as part of my identity, I know in that postpartum period, I'm going to find the time. It may not be a straightforward hour workout. It may be a 30-minute workout that's actually broken up throughout the day where I'm doing 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the afternoon, 10 minutes in the evening. But again, focusing on consistency. Lastly, my mindset. I knew my body was going to change. I don't know if I was going to be thrilled about it or what I was going to think about it, but I was actually really nervous about it because a lot of my past focused so much on my body, proving my value, proving that I was athletic, proving that I was fit. And that actually tormented me a lot. So, and I'm sure some of you can identify with that. So what I did was try and continue to come from a place of neutrality with my body. I tried to, if I overindulge on some sweets or something like that and still had those past thoughts and behaviors of kind of devaluing myself and thinking like, I know better, I should do better, I was still working through those because I want to be able to carry that into the postpartum period. A lot of my mantra going into pregnancy and throughout it was, what do I need to do here to prepare myself for postpartum? How do I want to feel and how do I want to talk to myself? What things and behaviors can I already establish? That way I can just recall them when it's getting challenging. So for example, first trimester blows, right? If you are a pregnant gal in your first trimester, most of you, it is terrible. You think you're gonna die and you're not. But for some reason you just are. And so lots of nausea, just did not feel good. I was really fatigued and it was hard because I was training people in my garage too. And I had to show up for them, right? I couldn't just be like, oh, I feel like crap today. So you guys are gonna have to figure this out on your own. That's not how it plays. You still have to show up for work. So I really took that time to learn how to relax and lay down. And I thought, a lot of my value used to come from being busy and doing activity. But when I learned how to just be steady, and I thought, okay, this is great practice for my first weeks of postpartum, because that's really what's going to happen. I'm going to be laying down. I'm going to be relaxing. I'm going to let other people help me, bring me water, even though I can get it myself. So I really worked on that support system within myself and with my partner. Second trimester, I felt really great. Actually, throughout my pregnancy, I'm in my third trimester now. Like I said, I've got about 5 days until my due date at the recording of this video. So in my second trimester, you're supposed to increase calories by about 200 to 300 to 400, depending on how you feel. I actually didn't. I didn't feel hungrier, but I did feel better, right? And so mentally, it was a lot more fun in the gym because I was able to get after it a little bit more. I did a different program that I've done but haven't done before, so that way I couldn't compare myself to prior to pregnancy because I don't want to compare. They are completely separate, almost entities and completely separate universes, because my pre-self before there was a baby in my belly could do a lot more. This second trimester person, I have to work on allocating my energy appropriately. At this time, mindset was okay. I started to seeing the changes in my belly. Belly is growing bigger. But this is where it became hard mentally and professionally because I started to offload some of my clients, especially for the in-person. It was also summer in Arizona. So if you live here, it's hot and you know that. So that was really challenging because a part of my identity of being like a working professional and having the education started to go away. And it's not to say that I won't go back to it. It's just to say it created a lot of unknown, and I thrive off of structure. And I thrive off of knowing and having a plan. And I don't have a plan anymore of what training looks like, especially in my professional career, because I'm very successful with it. So that was one thing that was really hard mentally. Going into my third trimester, I felt a little bit better about my professional training. Again, you're supposed to increase calories up to 400 to 500 on top of your maintenance. I didn't. I just didn't feel the need to. I wasn't more hungry. I was having smaller meals throughout the day. But really, I just didn't feel like super famished. So it's really interesting because we teach that so much in the prenatal and postpartum period of eat these amount of calories, do this, do this, do this. But for you as an individual, it may not work that way. And I'm a prime example of that. So I'm training in my third trimester. What we focused on was just going through it, making sure I felt good. I had to start making a lot of adjustments because of my pelvic floor. I was starting to feel heaviness and it was getting too sore and it just wasn't fun. And so you have to think of the trade-off. Like, yes, I can go heavier, but also my body is not really healing and recovering from my training. What is worth it? No more split stance because of the shearing of your pubic bone. That starts to hurt. So we modified for that. I used the sled a lot. Barbell back squats, started shifting to box squats because going lower with that amount of weight just did not feel good on my pelvis. A lot of rotational movement to help that out. A lot of upper back and stuff to help with my posture, because as we grow our belly, everything starts to kind of come forward in this forward lean with the shoulder roll. Not comfortable, so I'm working on the posterior chain a lot. It feels good to work out. I always encourage my clients, if you can at least do some mobility, I promise you it will feel better. So if I'm not working out, my goal is 3 days minimum in the gym for strength training session, full body. The other days I'm focusing on mobility, and I'm doing mobility throughout the day. So with the mobility throughout the day, a lot of hip opening, a lot of shoulder opening, just getting my body ready for pregnancy. So what I did for my fourth trimester, which is also known as the postpartum period, is I created a program for myself. I knew I wasn't going to be able to just follow something that I didn't have written down, and I needed a structured program. I needed an actual piece of paper that is going to say, you can walk for 5 minutes today, or you can do knee rocks, or you can do glute bridges. I needed that because I knew for me, I would say, oh, I feel good, or I want to get back to it sooner. And then I would be back in the same place of focusing on that recovery and healing rather than progressing appropriately. So I have that coming in. I also have a lot of support of people who are going to help monitor me. My significant other is a very patient man, and him and I have had this conversation of he's going to be more aware of how I am acting and behaving, and I'm going to have to be able to be open to him saying, hey, I think you're doing too much. Let's kind of calm down. I don't need to take that as in a reactive stance. I need to take that as in a place he's coming from, compassion, and he knows my experience of doing too much too quick. And actually injuring myself. So I do have an experience of a significant injury and a significant setback in my training program. So a lot of that I'm going to use to incorporate in how my mindset is set up for this period. But we'll see. Hopefully next video we've got a baby born and we're going and rocking and rolling. So thank you for joining me on this episode of Motherhood Uncensored, Rebuilding Amanda.